All right. Hey guys, welcome back. All right. So I wanted to go ahead and bounce over to Tarot Dog, even though I know normally I'm over here at night, but I really felt like I wanted to do one during the day. If we can get one tonight as well, we will, but it'll probably be a specific message. This is not exactly a specific message. It's I had this image actually of somebody who was like pulling tape off of their mouth. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I only do like specific messages over on this channel. It's just, I don't know why, but that's how it works for me. Um, I was like, that's not really specific enough for me to call it a specific message. It just seemed like somebody's ready to talk. And then my workspace and everything is so different in my little office area that I've created for myself here in my new location that I'm very clumsy and I have not my normal setup and not my normal decks. I'm still going to have to like ease into stuff. So I knocked over one of my decks and with my elbow, and these three cards came out of it. And as you can see, by the way, I have one of Grimmelklin's Curious Cats mixed into the wrong deck as well. But in any case, it ended up that we have a message about somebody who has something to say because we got spill the tea, eye to eye, and then we have third eye blind. So I feel like we should start this storyline out and assume we do have somebody who's got something real to say. Now, I feel like this is a person who wants to have face to face conversation. Although I have to be honest, when I first looked at this, I thought it said eye for an eye. And I was like, oh, wow, was there somebody like with vengeance? You know, they thought somebody did something rude to them. And so then they were intentionally being rude in return. But it's actually eye to eye, not eye for an eye, which is much better than any kind of like nastiness that somebody, lashed out because they felt like they had been diminished or something. But with this third eye blind, somebody knows exactly what their intuition is leading them to. This feels like we have a character who's got to get something off their conscience, and the fact that I already had pictured somebody like taking it was masking tape, by the way, off of their lips. And that thought popped into my head. And now we have somebody wanting to speak a truth, but it does seem eye to eye, but it feels like that third eye being here twice, basically, we're seeing eyeballs twice and all over the place, and the butterflies as well. We know this is like different. This is transformative. This is somebody finally listening to their intuition. It's something they've known for a long time. So let's see where that's going to take us. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is going to be about love. I'm not sure if this is going to be about partnership. We'll see. Hi, everybody. So nice to see you guys. Okay, we have an Eight of Pentacles. We have a Wheel of Fortune. We have the Fool. Okay, this is literally somebody who needs to finally discuss what they're doing next. It's finally time. This is somebody that could be an Aries, they could be an Aquarius, they could be Taurus, also Leo or Scorpio. But we have them having worked pretty hard on things for some period of time. They got their ducks in a row. This is like, wheels, like the spokes on a motorcycle. But this is somebody who's ready to take this first step toward a brand new journey. And it feels like they need to say this. I need to tell you the truth. The truth is I'm only just now ready. The truth is now is the right time for me. Okay, let's see. We have got the Four of Wands. Four of Wands is about marriage sometimes. It's about relationship. It's about long-term connection. It's about we've got all these jellyfish in the sky as well. So there's something here about wisdom. Jellyfish are ancient creatures, and they're floating through the sky. So kind of like moments of wisdom are floating through this person's mind. And I'm going to connect that probably to that third eye blind. This is something a character knew from the very beginning. This feels like somebody saying, I knew that you were the one I wanted to marry, but I'm only just now ready to be a married individual. It's not that I didn't know it from the gate. I knew it intuitively. I knew when I first met you, but I wasn't ready until now. And now that I'm ready, like I'm really ready. This feels like it could be a crazy, like I'm saying I've known from the beginning but I wasn't ready until now. And now this is what I want. That feels like the thing that this person's ready to discuss. Five of Pentacles. Oh boy. Five of Pentacles is right now, because they're ready for something and it doesn't seem like it's within their grasp. That may be the reason this person wants to like travel to come see somebody, go, look them in the eyes and tell them, I know you're nowhere around because I wasn't ready when it was an opportunity, but this is now I feel really sad that it's like, I wish I could have been ready sooner. Eight of Swords is here and it's sideways. It's hard for this person to say. It's really hard for them to talk about like how stuck they felt. What is motivating them to say all of this, to just spit it all out and actually explain this now? I mean, wouldn't it have been better to explain in the past, like, I want this, but I'm not ready? Empress upright. Maybe they're a Libra Taurus. They could be in a place where they feel secure enough and blossomed enough that they can do this. Now they can be raw and honest about like, I was super disappointed. I know, and I'm super disappointed right now because as much as I really want this, I don't know if this is going to be an option for me anymore because I don't know if you're going to want to be with me. But I knew the first time I met you, I wanted to marry you, but I wasn't in a place where I was prepared for any of that. Now I'm, brave enough to announce it. But why didn't you say something before? Why didn't you explain any of this before, character? We've got King of Swords and we got Justice in the reverse. Hang on. These are really thick cards and it just really felt like that one felt thicker, but I don't feel another one separating. Look, this King of Swords, even though it's upright, him's a pretty scary looking dude. I feel like this is somebody who kept their own silent counsel for a very long time. King of Swords, when they say things that they mean, they really mean it, but they also can hold their words longer than any of the other kings because what they say, it has to be 100%. Sometimes they don't talk enough or they don't talk, well, they talk enough for who they are. Let's put it that way. But this says, I didn't want to say something or offer something unless I knew I could make good on it because I thought that was more fair. So I held my tongue. I didn't say, I want to marry you and I know this because what if I was never ready? There's a difference between wanting to do something and really being able to do something. So I didn't want to do an injustice by making a proclamation that I couldn't make good on. I had to do that Eight of, Pentacles work. I knew from the beginning what I wanted, but I couldn't very well ask somebody to marry me when I wasn't ready. And then what if it never fell into place? What had to be falling into place? What was it that had to fall into place? Let's change decks. What had to fall into place? Four of Cups. That's normally illusions, disappointments, missed opportunities. The Devil. The Nine of Pentacles. Okay, so they had so much fear that either if they needed to get their money straightened out, if they needed to get stability in their life, they were petrified it would never happen. I don't think that this person's life was their own. We've got, so funny because it's like a board meeting and we have the devil standing here and then we have this ancestor up above, or maybe this is the universe or the creator up above going, you're going to need to figure out how to get beyond this situation. I don't know. Did this person put themselves into a business environment that was super toxic and they did not know if they'd ever be free of it? You notice how there's this gate now that's open. And with the Nine of Pentacles, it's like, finally, my wealth is my own. My abundance is my own. My money is my own. I finally have personal single abundance. It almost feels like they were locked into contracts that they feared they would never be out of. And they didn't know if they would be or if they wouldn't be. But instead of announcing that, they were like, well, I can't tell somebody that I want to marry them. I love them. We're going to be together forever when I don't know if I'll ever be free enough to offer that. So, I mean, to put it simply, this person could have been married. This could have been a King of Swords that was married, especially with that Justice card. That can be legalities. That can, maybe they needed to be divorced. It's like, I don't know. I can't marry you till I'm divorced from somebody else. I don't know if I can get divorced properly based off of the situation and the contracts being what they are. So it looks like they chose not to express their love. They chose not to express what they knew right in the beginning. Let me go back to, how is it that you knew right in the beginning with that third eye blind? What was it that told you that this, whomever it is that you want to come talk to at this point? And we need to look at who that person is also, but let's start here. What was it that your intuition told you right out of the gate? This is who I belong with. This is who my Four of Wands is. This is the person I want to marry. We have the Three of Pentacles. I mean, it was obvious that they saw a future with this person. They saw working together, collaborating. Knight of Pentacles. They saw this as the future that they wanted to have someday. But all of this was someday. Someday I'll be able, this is exactly the kind of relationship I'd want to have. This is exactly the kind of person I'd want to build with someday. That's my goal. That's the kind of relationship and person that I could see as being successful with. That would be a true partner. But again, Four of Cups, Seven of Swords. I said, how did they know? What was that third eye intuition? But remember, this card said third eye blind. I almost think that this person was like, well, I could tell right out of the gate we would be amazing together. And then I told myself, but it'll never work. And it's just a complete fallacy and it's a complete disappointment. And so then I hid in the trees and I watched from a distance and I didn't trust my intuition. That's probably the other reason this person didn't say how they actually felt. It's like, but I almost talked myself out of believing this, that I could be with this person, that I could have success, because look at what the state of my life, look at where I actually was. I was still in another contract. It didn't matter. And I didn't see an easy way out of another contract. So I kind of told myself, this is a pipe dream. Okay, let me just ask, who is it that you are so in love with that you say, I knew from the minute that I met you that I wanted to marry you, and now I got to tell you this, now that I'm finally free enough to be able to say this. We know you're the King of Swords, but who is it? We have a High Priestess. We have the Hanged Man in the reverse. So the High Priestess could be a Virgo, could be a Pisces, or a Cancer is the way I always interpret that. Somebody who was very intuitive enough to know and to see the same glimpse, because she's a mind reader. She's a psychic. She's a person who can sense what is there without seeing it. She can see in the dark. She can see beyond the veil. So she saw this in, we'll say, his eyes or in his mind. So this King of Swords, they genuinely, I don't know if there was like a moment of like complete understanding that passed between them, where this High Priestess looked into his eyes and said, I can already tell without a doubt he wants to be with me. I can see it. There's not even a question mark. There's not even anything here. He looked at me with those eyes and it was like, I'm supposed to be married to him, or he thinks he's supposed to be married to me. I saw it. And it's unequivocal. And I don't think she's ever been able to shake that confidence in her mind. Like, I saw it and I felt it. It's almost like either a flash of a premonition, like that's a person I'm ending up with. But it's as if it should be able to happen right now. But the thing is, and I always say this about the High Priestess is like your achy old shoulder with an old injury, where it's like, oh, it's going to rain and I can feel it because my tissue starts to ache when, the barometric pressure shifts. You can sense that a storm is coming, but you don't know exactly how many inches of rain are going to fall or on what side of town the rain's going to fall. There's, she's only precise to a certain extent. She knows she can pick up information, but she can't get the specifics. But she had like a spark, a moment where she's like, I can tell this person is looking my way. I can tell that they are looking at me. This King of Swords is looking at me like I'm their person. But I also, I don't understand what's going on here, because it seems like it's almost like we're already married in their mind. I would say, to put it simply, this King of Swords, like, energetically laid claim on her, like, but with a, because it was intuition and she deals with intuition. She read exactly what they were putting out, but it was like, yeah, but it can't happen now. Eight of Wands. Okay, this could have been deeply confusing for her because it's like she read their intentions. She read the fact that they knew from the gate, they knew immediately, you're my person. You're the person I want to be with. You're the person I want to marry. You're the person I want to, have a future with and build a legacy with. She read it on their face or in their energy, and she was spot on. But with the Eight of Wands, it's like, so now I expect somebody to make good on the very loud thing that they just projected at me energetically, which is they want me. So aren't we supposed to be moving forward? Again, the high priestess can read energy really well, but she doesn't necessarily have timelines, and she can read intention, but it doesn't mean she can predict someone's actions. Yeah, so not surprisingly, it caused her immense confusion, stress, grief, pain. We have a Nine of Swords. This is kind of a dirty game that she had to go through because she read their intention loud and clear, and then they actually withdrew from her, even stayed away from her possibly, and made her like either confused about her own intuition, made her confused about what is this game that they're playing. It really stressed her out because it was so obvious that they wanted to be with her right away. Now, let's pour some gasoline on this fire and say, on the other hand, they may have not just like looked at her like that, but they may have said something. Like, we don't know exactly what the circumstances were. We do know that they admit that there was lies, and then they went into hiding, and then they sat under a tree and cried and felt really bad and really regretful. It is possible that this person, this King of Swords, said, I want to marry you. They might have said it from the gate. And that could be, not only did she read their energy and know that they meant it, but then they actually said something, but then in the physical world, they actually retreated after saying those things. So for her to be this stressed out and start doubting her own intuition, I could see that this would be really upsetting and really painful. Knight of Wands. And then she chalked it up to, so they were just here for a good time, not a long time. They were just a player. They just simply played games with my heart. They're an inconsistent lover. Do they just say what they need to get into somebody's bed? Is that who they are? She assumed that, and that allowed her to move on from this and start to heal. So she basically demoted them to a position of merely a knight, and the most inconsistent knight there is. The most unreliable knight there is. Because she read them correctly. They want to marry me. It's like they want that now. I read it on them. They may have said it. They even got me to say I feel the same way. And then they went and hid behind a tree. And it was all a bunch of BS then? Is that what that was? So they were just the least trustworthy knight. And okay, I guess now that I put it in that context, I can move on from this. And I must move on from this. She went through a pretty dark night on that. I say that, because we can see the twilight of this card, right? This is, it took her a long time to get back to the stars. There was a pretty dark night for her. And this is the goddess of night, by the way, depicted on this card. So that's why I was saying it that way. Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. On one hand, her healing from this and moving on from this and moving, distancing herself from this experience was good. But this card says she never fully moved on from it. This was never fully over. You can heal from something and it still is with you. This is as fresh in some ways, or the cycle never completed, because in fact, the cycle never began. This was like somebody prematurely, tapped her for theirs when they had no business doing so. That's what I would say. So it's a cycle that not only did it not really begin, but it also never even got a chance to end, even though she's moved on from it. So all of this is left just in this weird like all these emotions still remain. It's like that question, does the past still exist? Did things that we went through, conversations that we did have, um, does that still exist somewhere in some parallel universe or something? And it's like, hell yeah, it does. We're seeing it in this story. We're seeing you can move on from something, but the memories are there. What actually played out, the confusion of it, the hurt of it, the saying that you're going to do one thing or conveying what you want and then not moving forward on it and instead retreating from it and leaving all of it just right where it sat, that is still sitting there. It's like if their past interaction was left in a locked storage unit, that's where it still is. So this is not over. Um, and I can see that at this point, we see them, like I said at the beginning of this, I was picturing somebody pulling, the mask off of their lips, the masking tape off of their lips so that they could speak. And then by a weird twist of fate, these cards slip out because I knocked it over and we've got this spill the tea. It's time for them to tell the whole truth. It's time for them to explain what they knew right from the beginning, but also they didn't want to move forward with something unless somehow they thought it was less wrong to have said they wanted this and then not move forward with it and not explain anything, because what if I can never get free? But let me go back and let me just ask one question. Did you actually say, I want to marry you? Or did she, as a high priestess, hear the words that were not spoken because she's a freaking high priestess? What's she supposed to do? She can't turn off being a high priestess. Yeah, Ruben, you sweetheart. Grazie, grazie. Yale Ruben just gifted 5 memberships. Legina Davis, Sage and Stardust, Cherie, Monique B, Janet Romo. You guys are all now members courtesy of Yale Ruben. No, that means you guys can pop onto the playlist that's called Members Playlist, and you'll want to do that because each Monday you get a chance to enter to win. I kind of explain the whole Members Corner every Monday before I do the Monday video for members. So definitely make sure that you check out the one that we most recently did, and in the playlist, the one that you see first will be the most recent Monday video. So definitely check that out so you kind of know how the Members Corner works, and then you don't miss out on anything. Yale, you angel, thank you so much. Yale, you have 3 stored up now. If you ever want to type a card, I'll pull a couple cards for you. Okay, love? Thank you so much, Yale. You're so sweet. I hope your new baby is settling in to the 3 Musketeers club. Okay, so did they ever say to her, or did she simply hear their intentions because she's a high priestess? We have Pisces, so that's very dreamscapey. We have 9 of Pentacles, and we have 4 of Pentacles. Okay, listen, in all fairness, no, not exactly. They did not say, wow, I am in love and we are going to be married and I am proposing to you. I'm not saying that they didn't completely, because there was this dreamy, like, emotions merging and almost like, I mean, maybe it was like pillow talk or something, but it wasn't actually like, you and me are now going to be together. It's like, wouldn't it be great for us to be together? Now, I still would say, okay, we're talking semantics and we can start arguing now about like, what is a reasonable and rational person to believe when somebody starts talking about their dreams for the future and, hey, wouldn't it be great if we were together? Oh God, is that a Beach Boys song? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? I think so. I feel like he held back from actually giving the offer, but it was so implied that he must have known how she was receiving this. But maybe it's like he was saying, I want her to know she's amazing. I want to like tell her she should be so confident in knowing that she's the one that I would dream of having as my husband wife. In my dreams, that's who I would pick. My emotions are for her. She is amazing. Maybe he thought that saying these things in that context would give like this huge, like, show of respect, but I think it did the opposite. I think that implied, I am very serious and we are going to be married. This is what I want. Therefore, obviously, why would I say all that unless I were moving forward? Well, this is not awesome. I think this is a big fat steaming pile of mess. Okay, we'll just say it that way. It's a big mess, the way this has been handled. And so, Seven of Swords, and it did make him out to be a liar, especially when they said that and then they dipped out. And I'm just trying to figure out, did you say all these things? And they're like, yeah, I did, and then I intentionally ran off. They know darn well that they did this, and it made him look like a liar. They do know that. I held back actually giving the offer because immediately after I said all this, like kind of stated my intentions, then I was like, I don't know if this will really work. And then they retreated and they hid behind a tree and they stood there at the Two of Wands and said, I wonder if I could even make this happen. I don't like it. I do not like this. This feels very, and we can see that the intention was maybe not to play games, but this is one of those things where you would have been better off if you did keep your mouth zipped instead of implying so much that you didn't mean and coming across, because this was excessive, the way the emotions were laid out, the hopes, wishes, dreams, fantasy aspect. But it's like, yeah, but I never actually got on one knee and proposed. So see, I didn't really say it. But even you know that you were lying. You acted like a liar. It acted like a game player when you imply so much and then you don't follow through. And I just think, yes, we could still say, well, what about the semantics of it? But I hate it when that's the argument. It's like, yeah, but I didn't say the exact precise words. And it's like, okay, are you a lawyer though? Or are you somebody that was obviously trying to tell somebody that you loved them, you know you wanted them, but you shouldn't because you can't have them and you can't offer them anything? That would have been more truthful. I'm married. I'm in another connection that I don't want to be in. I want to be with you and I can't be. That would have been like, telling somebody you are exactly what I would want, but there's no way I can possibly offer you anything because I'm in this other connection. And someday when I'm not in this connection, I'm going to come knocking on your door. But see, they didn't handle it that way, not in this story. And that's why I'm like, no, I'm not going to act like, this card's here for a reason and they know it. They know that they told a whopper of a lie because they implied something else other than what they did, and then retreated and then stood there at the crossroads and said, I can't have them. I said I wanted them. I implied I was going to have them and I was going to move toward them. I implied all that to her. But in truth, now I'm running away from her because I don't know if I could ever do that. They did start thinking about how could I ever arrange my life so I could actually have her. But unfortunately, you made a pretty big fumble here. That was a pretty big lie to tell. Five of Wands is sideways. Oh, they've wrestled with this round and round and round in their mind. I can see, okay, so we have the Lovers. I think, in all fairness, I do think that they were, maybe we can say heaven help them. They were so attracted to her. They were in love with her. They spoke prematurely about what they actually knew to be true, right? They spoke something that was real from their heart, even though they couldn't have made good on it. But this also says they really, really wanted to know, did she feel the same way? Or was it all a pipe dream that was only on their side? It still feels like they lured her out to make her prove that she wanted them before they were going to make changes in their own life that they should have made anyway if they weren't happy in some other connection, would be my argument. But obviously they had a lot of fears about, would I ever even get myself out of this? And then, would she have me? Would she even be interested in me if I were single? So this person has been working, this King of Swords has been working behind the scenes for a very long time to course correct some things in life. And they are coming forward, at least in this, to finally express not only face-to-face what they should have said a long time ago. I just don't know how it's going to go down at this point, right? Because let's not forget that she ended up shifting over and saying, I healed from this. I turned myself into the Star card. I distanced myself from this. However, because we do have the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, I'm so sorry, but this cycle with them is not over, because it never really began. It's always been existing in that murky world, or like I said before, in that locked storage unit. Ace of Cups. They are coming forward to offer her their entire heart at this point, their full love offer, which means now that she's receiving their full love offer, it is her who holds all the cards. She is the one who will decide if she accepts or if she does not. We have the Justice card, and this says if she wants to say, you can forget it, it would be, on one hand, both justice and an injustice, because if in truth she still wants him and just because she's pissed she says no, then she'd be hurting her own heart and theirs. On the other hand, it would be well within her rights to say, F off, you played games before, you didn't handle this properly, so no, you can't have your cookies now. But remember, this is her future at stake as well. So what do? I mean, did this person handle it right? God, no. I would say hell no. That I don't even see any question mark about that. But were they trying to cheat and lie? No, they actually weren't. Sometimes two things can be true at the same time. You can do something really wrong. You can cause a lot of grief. It can be pretty heinous. You can be a liar. And you also didn't mean to do all of that. And there was also truth in the way you felt. But you still didn't do anything right. And this is one of those really tough to explain situations. Sorry, these ones are really hard for me to explain. But maybe they're the best stories because we see all the nuances, you know? We have a King of Wands. Look, if he's offering his cup of love and he's offering his heart and he's offering this, I mean, this is a full-on proposal. And this is a full-on, like, spilling the tea, saying it all. I knew the first time I met you, you were the person I wanted to marry. I have to tell you this face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, now that I can offer you the offer that I should have been able to make you a long time ago, the offer that I implied I wanted to make you and then ran away after I made that statement and disappeared on you and left you in hurt and pain. Now I'm offering you this, the thing I wanted to all that time ago. Look, she's going to recognize that that's what's going on, but is it too late? Does she want this anymore? Look, if she doesn't want it anymore, then it doesn't matter. She does not need to feel obligated like, oh, so now I'm supposed to let you in. Hell no. But if she wants this, it would be doing herself wrong at this point to say, well, I don't care. Go away. This is a tough one because I so wish it had been handled properly, you know, and I just so wish it had been handled properly. And we didn't have to have this really difficult story that, like, it still is. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Can we actually, let's change decks and just say, do we have one oracle message in all of this to end with? Magic and alchemy. Here's the thing. All of this, maybe the two of them meeting was absolute kismet. Maybe they did meet at exactly the right time to inspire this person to really recognize, this King of Swords, to really recognize there is no way I can stay in a connection that is wrong for me. And I have just met the person that is right for me. And that is magic. And nothing else on earth maybe would have made this King of Swords start making the changes in his life that he needed to. That part we can say, yay, awesome. The only, like, really big, you know, hurdle to get over in this is the way things were handled and the fact that he caused somebody else a lot of stress, and just when it didn't need to be that way. But as far as them meeting, the alchemy and the magic, it's like lots of things we come across that are the right thing for us at the wrong time. And we need to strive to fix things in our lives so then we can, you know, raise our frequency, and then we can have that situation. Or in this case, he met the right person, but he needed to first get himself out of something that was wrong for him. So it is positive. However, the way it was handled is pretty damn wrong. We have time. discipline. And that tree of life, has a big bush, but a little tiny root system. And it's like, he should have probably, I mean, at least according to the universe, it's like this was magic, and it was going to be some time before this could happen, before he could put down roots with her. Then it was just like a big old brain cloud, like, I'm brainstorming, this is what I want, but I can't do it anytime soon. And maybe he should have brought her into that plan. You notice how she stands underneath this, brain cloud tree of life, but she's not a part of it. She's the object of the desire, but she wasn't brought into his plans. That's what I would say needed to have happened is, bring somebody into your plans if you're planning on them being part of your future. And then we have snow and resilience. Everything got put into the freezer. This whole situation, she got put into the freezer. The relationship, the opportunity was, put in the freezer, which we do that when we want to store something. We have bravery, oceans. It does take bravery to be able to tell somebody what our real life is like and what we are and are not capable of offering, but what our intentions are. It does take bravery. And maybe that was the core thing that they were lacking at the time, was the bravery to tell her the truth. Will you wait for me while I hope to clean up some things in my life, but I really don't know if it'll happen. If I could, I would want to be with you. It's not fair to ask somebody to wait, perhaps, but on the other hand, it's less fair to say all kinds of stuff and then disappear, I would argue. But we don't know the minutia. We saw only what the cards showed us in this story. But it does say bravery is kind of always at the heart of anything. If we're going to change our world, if we are going to cross oceans, if we are going to transform our lives, it takes bravery to do it. Doing anything new in life takes bravery. And I think them breaking away from an old contract in order to choose a new relationship, both of those things took bravery. And maybe they didn't have that much courage at the time. So was this person a villain? The universe says no. Courage was what was at stake, or what was needed. And so, I don't know. We can like it or dislike it. This is the story that we got. There's a lot of details in this, many of which I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this one. I can see the sides of it that have come up, but I can't really, there's lots of stories that I tell that I'm like, this is just pissing me off because I want my characters to be like a movie where it all makes sense and it all ties together and, everybody behaves in their best way. And you know what? That's not what we get in these stories. So maybe this is better. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Good to see you guys. Chrissy, Just John. Hi, honey. Hi, Denisa. Denisa, I saw your message. You're busy working so much. And I'm particularly honored that I get a chance to say hi to you today, honey, in your busyness. EM, hi, babe. Inner Knowing, good to see you. Lightning Cass, hi. Michelle S. Stevette, awesome to catch you, babe. EM, spot on with that comment. Hey, Bobby. Caitlin B's in the house. Hi, honey. You're so sweet, Caitlin. Sandra Luke, hi. Hi, Ken. Well said. Yes, we humans are good at scrambling our eggs sometimes, aren't we? Brian, thank you again so much, Yael Rubin. You are so sweet. Thank you. You're always so generous. S. Gashner, hi. Hi, Wonder T. Thank you so much, Wonder T. Nikki O, hi, hun. Eduardo Jimenez, thank you, babe. You know all about moving, Eduardo. I remember you telling me you had moved not too long ago also. Yeah, it's excessive. It's a lot of extra work, isn't it? But it's so worth it. Art is popcorn for the brain. Love your name. Good to see you. Oh my gosh. Yale, am I on a big screen at your house? Oh no, that's way too much, Kate. You should only watch me on a little itty bitty screen. That's way too much. Way too much of me. Somebody said that I needed like a better camera, and I'm like, I am not going to an HD camera so y'all can see into my pores. No, we do not have movie quality lighting. We are not doing movie quality screening. Thank you very much. No, thank you. Mahima Sharma, nice to see you, babe. Lachina, hi, honey. Hi, Katie. Likewise, babe. So glad you're here. Such a nice community here. Hi, T. You are perfectly on time, hon. All right, you guys. Paris Jade Humphrey, hi. Awesome to see you. Wonder T, thank you for reminding me. I thank you guys so much for giving it a thumbs up. I forget to say that. Robin G, you angel, thank you. Violet's in the house. Hi, sweetheart. Shout out to you in London. It's my pleasure. We'll get all of the zodiacs done today on the other channel, and somewhere later tonight I will get to Cancerian as well. I know it's not typically Cancer's day, but you know I've been moving all week, so everything is off kilter. So we're just getting things like back on track. So G Long, Ruth, Lena, Escar, thank you for being here, babe. Moon Pony, Lalu, and Violet, you were first in the house, darling. I'm sorry I didn't look up sooner to say that to you and greet you properly. D. Rogers, you were second in the house. So good to see you. Let me scroll back down. And don't forget, Yale, darling, you have 3 card pulls that are just stacked up for you at some point in time, sweetheart. So the day you say card, you know, I'll pull a couple cards for you, sweetie. So kind. Empress Phoenix, thank you for being here, love. Bradley Bear, hi. Hey, Brian Smullen, thanks for being here. T, I love the little hearts. GOSC10P, hi, honey. Yell, you're so sweet. Again, it's good to have a blurry camera, let me tell you. Although you can see, I'm definitely 45, guys. I've got plenty of wrinkles. It's not quite as noticeable in this lighting. If probably if I had a different backdrop, this one's making me kind of yellow. I look like I have a better tan than I do, and that it's let me tell you, it's much more forgiving. Certain lighting, inner knowing. Hey, babe, G. All right, guys. Have a great afternoon. I will see you guys again tonight, and we will do the rest of our zodiacs, okay? So good to see you all. Bye for right now, guys. I see you again later.